Welcome back to Studio 5. The way that divorced parents treat each other can have a big impact on their children.
It definitely can. And our next guest says the best thing that divorced parents can do for their kids is to work together. Therapist Julie Hanks is here with advice on how to make that happen. I think this is hard for parents who are divorced because they don't really want to deal with that person necessarily.
They don't. And sometimes they don't even like that person.
Well, that's why they have the divorce,
right?
You know? I mean, there's something that caused them to grow apart.
Right, and yet you think, oh, well, I'll be rid of that relationship. No, if you have children together, you always have to have some kind of communication or relationship because that's what's best for the kids.
If you're no longer like partners, as in married, as in lovers, and being part of the family unit, is there another relationship you'd be like, think of it as business partners, or how do you think of it?
Yeah, I think that is really helpful to think of it as this is now a business transaction, and we have this shared interest in our children or our child, and that's what we need to focus on. And so you do not have to be a friend to your ex-spouse, but I think it's important to remember to be a friend to the relationship and really support the relationship with your child's relationship with the other parent.
Are there ever any exceptions where you don't want to approach it this way?
Yes, in the case of abuse, if one of the parents is being abusive, then that is the exception. Other than that, kids need access to the other parent. And you know, my parents divorced when I was in my mid-20s, and there were 4 children still at home. And they did a really good job of this, even though it was sad, there was lots of pain, lots of feelings. But being able to support an open relationship with both parents and work together on where the kid should live or schooling decisions, things like that. So that was a good example to me in a really difficult time.
I would imagine that as parents divorce and say, I don't want to communicate with my ex-wife anymore, she doesn't want to communicate with me because things have been awkward there.
Yeah.
It would be easy to relay communication through the children. So when I'm talking to my kids, I say, hey, when you go back, tell your mother such and such, and when tell your father such and such. And is that okay?
No, that's not okay.
It's easy though. It's so comfortable to do it that way.
It hurts. I think it's really important for parents to know it hurts their child to be the messenger. That is not a child's job when you're married, and it shouldn't be a child's job when you're divorced. So to communicate openly, respectfully, and directly with the other parent is really crucial to your child's well-being. So you can be respectful to people that you don't really like. You know, you can treat them with respect. And I think that's so important. And my sister-in-law has raised 3, they're now grown, 3 boys. And she's been divorced for years, but she and her husband go to soccer games together, they coordinate, they've planned a couple of weddings together. They're a great example of how to communicate and not put the kids in the middle. They've really done a great job of that.
All right, so people can get better on that. I think a lot of times you're dealing with things like schedules, things at school that the kids may be involved in where you need to talk about it. Any advice on how you can make it easier when you're dealing with all these things? With
scheduling? Well, there's a great resource called The Family Wizard, and I think the exact website, familywizard.com. But it's a scheduling tool that parents can use, log in, put everything in, so you're communicating, but you don't have to communicate directly. But all the information is there, so you don't have to be texting all the time. You just, here's the schedule, here's the time the play is, all those, those good details.
So both ex-husband and wife could have access to that.
Or grandparents could, or whoever, babysitter.
Because there were extended families who were involved in this divorce as well.
Right, and so whoever has, or attorneys could have access to it and, make sure that everything's in line. So I think that's a really cool tool. But another very important thing, and when I read this, my jaw kind of dropped. Divorced parents interact directly in front of their kids about 4 minutes a week.
That's it.
Yeah. So the third suggestion I have is to create a child safety zone. Make those 4 minutes when you're dropping off, picking up, talking on the phone, and the child is overhearing, make that safe.
How do you do that?
You don't. That's not when you bring up how much you hate the new girlfriend or boyfriend. That's, you're pleasant. It's a business. It's a business dealing. You drop off the child, you say hello, you be cordial. Your child deserves 4 minutes of seeing their parents interact. And I've had so many bad examples of this in my clinical practice where it's like, that's the time of like, I hate you and you owe me money, and that's not the time. Not in front of the kid. 4 minutes, that's all.
When you say safe, I think of like physically safe, but it really is
emotionally safe and physically safe.
So they're not going to be exposed to argument and yelling and raised voices.
It's not the child's business. That's the adult's deal. Keep the 4 minutes. That's all. That's all they. That's all we ask, right?
You know, I think so many times divorces do turn nasty. I mean, that's why it gets to that point. Is it possible, though, even in times like that, when the parents are hating each other, to really be able to put the kids first in a situation?
I think it's really challenging. But
it's so emotional. You're so emotional.
So emotional. But the child needs to come first. This is not about them. And what I think is important for parents to remember is when you talk bad about the other parent, that is half of your child. So if you say, oh, I hate your dad or I hate your mom, you are hating half of your child. And it's devastating. And I think it's really important for parents to remember. And that your other parent is an asset. No one else on the planet cares about your child as much as that other parent does. And it's easy to forget that because you think, oh, they had an affair or they did this or they, but the child is what needs to come first.
Yeah. Okay, so also when you're dealing with this person, it's probably going to be difficult now because you're not used to agreeing. You've gotten to that point where you're probably not agreeing on everything, but you're going to have challenges come up. What happens when you don't agree, and how do you get over those obstacles at that point? Yeah,
you're not going to agree, and that's okay, but you need to respect the other parent. And it really is important to focus on the positive. So, you've heard the term Disneyland dad, right? So say child goes on a trip with dad, maybe with new wife. They come back, mom might be feeling, ugh, I get to be the bad guy. He has all the fun with our kids, blah, blah, blah. But what she needs to say to the child is, tell me about your trip. That sounds so fun. Oh, I'm so glad you had a good time with your dad. Focusing on celebrating the positive in that relationship. Because kids ultimately will make their own decision about what happened, about who their parents really are. It's not the parents' job to help the kids see their point of view. The child needs permission to love both parents with all of their heart. And when as a parent you criticize, it's like a knife in the child's heart. Yeah. So celebrate those positive things even when you want to criticize or complain. But doing it to your child, that's not the person that's what girlfriends and therapists are for, buddies, and, go running with somebody and talk about it, but don't talk to your kids about it.
And it's so true. It said, as much as you love your child, the other spouse, they love the child just as much.
Right,
Julie's got great information. She's posted some more tips and resources for divorced parents on our website. You can find it all there. Thanks, Julie, for stopping in.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.